Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome and thank you for joining us on the SAP Community YouTube channel. The topic for today is enabling seamless transition to RISE and SAP S/4HANA. And in particular, we will talk about how Maintenance Planner supports seamless transitions. We have great expert speakers team today, and let me introduce them shortly. We have Priti Dhingra, who is Director Product Management at SAP Labs India. We have Anupam Rajput, Area Product Owner, also at SAP Labs India. Anupam will be concentrating on the answering questions in the chat. So for those who are already with us, please think of the questions and share them in the chat. We also have Rosemol Wilson and Shruti Sarati. Both are developers, also SAP Labs India, and they will show us a demo. So, short information to myself. I'm Larissa Brinkmann from the SAP Global User Groups organization, and I'm your host. Please ask your questions in the live chat and make sure you are signed in on YouTube in order to put question in the chat. The PDF of this session will be included in the description of this video and will be available for download shortly after the stream is finished. So with this, let's get started, and over to you, Priti.
Thank you so much, Larissa. Thank you for the introduction. And we are delighted to be here to give you this session on Maintenance Planner and showcase all the innovations that we have been working on in the Maintenance Planner area. So the usual disclaimer here, all the forward-looking statements and some of the timelines that we might share are subject to change. What we plan to cover today is we want to start with a bit of context around the different transition paths to S/4HANA. This is not the focus of the session, but we would like to talk about how you can decide between the various approaches to new implementation, to conversion, to selective data transition, and so on. And then we will take a look at a very high level picture of a transition tool matrix, because it's important for us to understand that where maintenance planner fits into this entire ecosystem of tools. And then we will dive deep into maintenance planner. We'll start with a quick overview of maintenance planner, because it has been available for close to 10 plus years now, and many of you are already using maintenance planner for quite some time. And then we will dive into some of the latest innovations that we have now offering in Maintenance Planner. We have demos planned, comprehensive demos around how you can plan new installation, RISE transition, and then we will focus on the topic of notes recommendation. And there also we have quite a few exciting innovations that we would like to showcase today. So before we dive into the topic today, Maintenance Planner, let's take a step back and let's take a look at the approaches that SAP offers for our customers to move to the cloud ERP. And every customer is in some phase of transformation today. ECC customers are looking at how to convert their existing ERP system, their ECC systems to S/4HANA, how to take their current running business processes to S/4HANA. And then we have customers who probably have a different starting point and they are probably starting completely new. So for customers who are already running some business processes in SAP, we have, for example, RISE with SAP, which customers can use to take their existing historical data, their business processes, and then move to cloud ERP. For new customers, approach would be that they grow with SAP. So there they can go with new implementation, and then they can very easily start adapting SAP's best practices available with the new innovations in cloud ERP. So having said that, let's move to this picture, which is slightly deeper than the last picture we saw. So we spoke about the different approaches, rise with SAP and grow with SAP, but every customer is starting differently. So as I mentioned, some customers are already running ECC, some are net new customers and so on. And in that case, one size fits all will not work. So we have these three different approaches mainly. So first one being new implementation, which is the greenfield approach, and this is where, as I mentioned, something that customers can go with, grow with SAP. So this is our, for example, our public cloud offering there, where customers can simply start using our SaaS offerings. And then we have, for example, system conversion, where we have our existing ECC systems which need to be converted to S/4HANA system. There also we have multiple approaches or multiple options that customers can choose from. But on the right hand side, you can see some of the related tools which are mentioned here. And the third approach that we have is the selective data transition, which is sort of a hybrid between a greenfield and a brownfield. So there you have the option to choose the historical data that you want to take forward, business processes you want to take forward, or the business processes you may want to redesign. So now in this view here, so this is a high level transition tool metrics. And here what we are trying to communicate here is that when we look at these tools, there are two broad categories that we can see here. So first one being the technical system identity, where we have tools such as maintenance planner, SUM, and so on, which operate directly on the system level. So they are basically responsible for ensuring that your technical identity of a system is maintained, and then when you transition, you are not running into any kind of issues. And then the second category is the business application side of the business data side of the house, where you have tools such as DTV, Business Transformation Center, which basically work on the business data directly. So we have host of tools here, and what we want to highlight here is that maintenance planner is here, and this is how it fits into this entire plan to implement different phases that we have. So maintenance planner plays a crucial role when you start planning any kind of transitions. Having said that, now let's move to maintenance planner and dive into some of the details. So I'd like to start with this slide here, this picture here, which is basically giving you a high level overview of the overall functionality that maintenance planner offers. First, up here, you can see some statistics. So maintenance planner has been available for our customers for a while, and we have roughly 30K customers who are utilizing maintenance planner for various software change planning topics that they have. We have overall 3+ million plans which the customers have created, and you can see the overall usage up here. So coming to the functionality of maintenance planner, and we support all kinds of software change planning, right from installation of your ABAP system, your HANA system, S/4HANA system, and so on. And we support all the other parts, for example, the updates, upgrades, conversions, and so on. And we also have introduced a lot of capabilities which basically support this process. So we do have the core functionality, which is around you can select a target system, you can then run some kind of compatibility checks and also download the stack XML and the software packages and so on. But apart from that, when you're planning, there are a lot of other aspects that need to be considered. For example, if you would like to see the entire landscape, how do you do that? How do you visualize your landscape in a way that someone like an IT admin can understand, and for example, your senior management or your IT head can also understand that. And for such topics we have, or for such requirements, we have something called hybrid landscape visualization, using which you can paint such pictures and use those pictures to basically have all these kind of discussions around the transition and so on. And we have quite a few other functionality, which I would not like to dive deep into, but just to name a few. We have up-to-date installation, which has been available for a while. So this is where maintenance planner allows you to generate a stack XML on a higher stack level. And then this stack XML would be used by, for example, SWPM and subsequently by SUM for new installations. So these are some of the planning scenarios which I wanted to highlight. Then we have other capabilities which help you, for example, getting to know that which are the most critical nodes for your system. So we have notes recommendation, and we'll be diving deep into this topic. So overall, I just wanted to stop here and give you this picture as a basis for what we are going to see next. So now I would like to hand over to Shruti to take us through the planning side of maintenance planner.
Thanks a
I'll
lot,
stop
Priti.
sharing now.
We have a
Hello, everyone.
short, yes, we can hear and see you. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So, Shruti here from the Maintenance Planner team. So today, I'd like to deep dive into the various capabilities that Maintenance Planner offers to our customers. So as Preeti already mentioned, Maintenance Planner plays a vital role in any planning journey, whether you're setting up a new installation system or performing an update or upgrade or carrying out a system conversion. So here we have tried to illustrate the different processes that are available in Maintenance Planner for our customers. So you can see that it supports numerous processes for both greenfield and brownfield requirements. And during the planning process within the application, you would encounter all these multiple options when you come to plan. And once you have the plan ID generation, you would be able to consume this plan ID with multiple tools that are available at SAP. So first, I would like for us to go through and see how a single system can be planned with Maintenance Planner. So, system planning in Maintenance Planner is a very simple five-step journey, I would say. So, we begin by logging into the system and accessing the tool. And this could be done by directly accessing the application through the SAP for Me Launchpad or directly from the SAP support portal. And once you're able to access the application, you will be able to see all the systems that are part of your organization. And if required, the system that you are working on, if it has to be verified, it's aligned in terms with that respect to a product modeling. And then post that, you are then free to generate any plan ID based on your scenario, be it update, upgrades, or conversions. And finally, we generate the stack XML, which is essentially the blueprint that's going to drive your implementation. So when it comes to the scenario of RISE with SAP and our customers, Maintenance Planner at the moment provides you three key capabilities. So first, we have the new implementation, which is perfect for a greenfield setup. Then we come to the RISE transition planning, which is the lift and shift migration, which enables you to move your system as is from the on-premise world to private cloud. And finally, we have the RISE update and upgrade scenario, which allows you to bring your systems up to the latest S/4HANA private cloud capabilities. So when it comes to the new implementation or the RISE transition, the planning is handled for you by SAP ECS or our partners. But when it comes to update and upgrades, it's more of a joint effort. In the sense, customers are involved in the planning scenario and SAP is helping you with the execution side of things. So first, let's take a look at how ECS performs the new implementation plans on your behalf. So within the maintenance planner tool, there are multiple ways through which customers can install, which ECS also can install new systems. So if this is the maintenance planner application, and here you can see the planner system tile, and all you have to do is select plan, and you can provide the SID here, and then we allow you an array of options and different products to choose from. So for this case, we are trying to install a new S/4HANA system with the latest release, which is the S/4HANA 2023, and the latest stack that's right now available to customers. So you can choose any instances you'd like and confirm and go ahead and generate your plan. Another alternate is via our guided procedure via the plan for S/4HANA tile, which has been developed specifically to cater to S/4HANA customers. So here as well, you can see the manual installation options, and you can go ahead and select that, enter your SID, and select the right targets and proceed ahead. So we are selecting the latest stack for S4HANA and the instances and proceeding. So at the background, we are now computing the right Fiori add-ons that would be compatible with your S4HANA system. And our recommendation from SAP side is to co-deploy it with your backend system. And that's what we're showcasing here. So here as well, we are selecting the latest stack and the instances, and we can proceed ahead. So when we come to the summary screen, we can continue to plan, maybe make any further modifications required, and generate a stack XML. So now let's assume a third kind of scenario where you had, as a customer, you are experimenting on your own and you have a sandbox system with the right configurations that now you would like to deploy development, quality, and production systems for. So all you have to do is now duplicate the same across the landscape. So let's assume that this system 011 is your sandbox system. And all you have to do is navigate and open the system, navigate to the software tab, and here you will find a new button here, which is the plan the new system as reference, through which you can deploy your plan IDs for your dev prod and qual systems. So all you have to do is enter the system ID and select plan, and you're good to go. So this is how ECS is currently doing the implementations on your behalf, especially when you're a RISE customer. And now let's take a look at the second scenario, where you as a customer are trying to migrate to RISE with SAP with your on-premise system by performing a lift and shift migration. So here we are back at the maintenance planner application. And here we are going to the explore system screen to select the system for which we want to generate this plan for. And here we are going to select the plan option, and you can see that a new option present here, which is the planner transition to RISE. So this is the option that you'll have to select that will enable this sort of journey. So now that you have selected it, we are going to the next screen. This is the usual process that's followed, where you are now able to select the OSTB screens that's for your system. So once that's done, we are doing a couple of validations at the backend to ensure that the target selected is right with respect to the selected OSTB files. And we are also generating the required files that are needed for the plan. And we're also generating the stack XML. So here in the select file screen, now you can see all the files that have been generated, and you can also see that the kernel files are available. So if we go to the next screen, we can download the stack XML, and more importantly, you can see that a unique plan ID has been generated here. So this is the plan ID that would be fed into the system transition workbench, which would handle this migration for you. So now let's move to the third case, where we can see how SAP is helping you when it comes to scenarios around updates, upgrades, and conversions. And this also can be quite useful for you when you have multiple systems and you are navigating your journey to S/4HANA Private Cloud. So here we have a typical landscape setup that's handled by basis teams. So this consists of our development system, our quality system, and then our production system. And let's assume that this could be either a RISE customer or they could be on-premise systems, and the customer wants to unlock the latest capabilities of S/4HANA. So they want to move to S/4HANA 2023. So typically, how would this happen, right? So the customer would then go ahead, log into Maintenance Planner, generate the plan ID for their development systems, and then implement that. And then they would probably circle back, then do the same for their quality and production system. While this is tried and tested and it works, it's quite repetitive, as you can see, and also quite time consuming. So in order to tackle these kind of challenges, Maintenance Planner provides you with two functionalities. One is the copy stack XML feature, through which you can quickly replicate plans across identical systems. And then we also have track creation, which allows for a more unified planning across the systems of a particular landscape if they're not identical but quite similar in nature. So let's dive into these two functionalities and see how they work. But before we begin, how do we know whether a couple of systems are similar or not in nature? And in order to identify this, Maintenance Planner has provided you a new capability now, which is to compare systems and transactions. So with this, you can either compare a set of systems or a set of transactions. For this case, I'd like to compare a set of systems in my landscape and see just how similar they are. So here you are presented with the list of all the systems in your landscape, and we can just use the filter options and filter by a various number of parameters. But here I'm going to filter based on the transport domain. So I've selected my domain, and you can see now there are just 3 systems which are part of my landscape. And you can select any of your systems as a reference systems, and you can proceed ahead. So here you can see that the systems are an exact identical match. And this is the perfect candidate for the copy stack XML functionality. So let's just see how we can do that. So we are now navigating to the Explore transaction screen, and we are going to open a transaction that we've already created for one of our dev systems, which is system 011. So here you can see that we have in fact planned an upgrade to the S/4HANA 2023 release. And now we want to generate the same for our quality system. So we can generate a new plan ID, and you can just put in the test system that's eligible, which is 012. And then maintenance planner takes care of everything in the background, and all you have to do is generate the copy. So if we take a closer look at the stack XML that gets generated, you can now see that when we filter based on the SID, we can see that it's in fact actually generated for system 012. Now, if you want to do some further validations on your end and you want to see whether these 2 transactions, the original one and the one generated now, are really identical or not, and you can come back here to the compare system and transaction screen, and you can compare the 2 transactions. So we are comparing the one we have just created to the one we had used as a reference earlier. So here you can just go ahead and you can see that yes, they are definitely 100% match. So not just that, you can also see the list of products that were planned as part of the transaction, and you can see that both of them are S/4HANA 2023 systems. Now we're going to look at a slightly different scenario, which is not the ideal case, when customers might have similar systems part of one landscape, which are not identical to one another. So how do we plan this? And the way to go ahead would be to create a track. So let's see how we can create a track. So we have opened system 011 again, and now we have gone to the tracks tab. And here we have the option to simply create a track. So here you can provide any other name that you'd like in case you'd like to uniquely identify it later. And if you click at this icon here, you can see what are the products and what are the components that are installed on the system. So yes, you can see that this is the S/4HANA 2021 system that we want to plan. So similarly, we can just add our test system, which is 012, and add it to our track and select the role. And again, we can do the same and involve our production system as well, which is 013. So now you can see that these 3 systems are available and the 3 together form a single track. So let's just save our changes and then head back. So now the 3 systems act as one single system, and as it works with any system in maintenance planner, they'll have to be verified. So we are just going to go through the verification module here, and here you can see that the systems are identical, and we can proceed with the verification, and it's successful. So you can see that there are 3 systems which are part of the track. So now let me just show you what it would look like if we were to plan for them. So in the define change screen, you know that any targets that you would like to plan are displayed. So now you can see that on the left, the 3 systems act as one single system, and on the right, you can apply all the options that are typically available for a single system. And anything that you apply is applied to the 3 systems as a whole. So now I'm just navigating to a plan ID that I have already created. And here, let me just select plan and show you what the plan PDF looks like. So here in the summary, you can see that we have all the 3 systems together as part of the plan. So this indicates that you can have a single plan ID for the 3 systems together. So heading back to the download file screen, and let's just see what the stack XML looks like. So here again, I'm just going to filter for the SIDs. And here you can see that the three SIDs for the systems are part of the single stack XML. So the beauty of track is that you can generate a plan ID for all the three systems in one go, and this is quite efficient. So for RISE customers, now that we have generated the plan, what are the next steps? So now the process has been simplified. You only have to log into Maintenance Planner and generate the plan, and later you can hand it off to ECS who perform the implementation on your behalf. So in order to do this, you would navigate to the private cloud workspace in SAP for me, access the service catalog, and then you would select the option upgrade application software and then provide the maintenance planner ID to them, and the entire implementation would be handled by ECS on your behalf. In a similar way, it can be done for the update application software as well. So now to summarize, here is a sample heat map of a customer landscape where we have identified patterns by comparing the software components across systems. So we have the first group, O11, O12, and O13, which are identical. And for these systems, copy stack XML would be the ideal approach. It's the fastest way through which we can create multiple plan IDs and multiple stack XMLs. And for the second group, where we can see that there are some deviations between systems S4D, S4Q, and S4P. For this, track creation based planning is the better fit. This is a more detailed process, as you could see, and we are generating the files for each system individually. But at the end, we just have one plan ID and one stack XML for the three systems. So whether you're performing an upgrade or conversion to S4HANA private cloud, or you're an existing RISE customer planning further updates, these capabilities will definitely help you save valuable time and also maintain consistency. So now I'd like to hand it off to Rose for the notes recommendation topic.
Thank you so much, Shruti. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Rose. I'm also part of Maintenance Planner. So you have now seen how Maintenance Planner supports system conversion, RISE transitions, and software change planning. Now I'll be showcasing few additional features that we have in Maintenance Planner, using which you can keep your systems and your system landscape secure and up to date. So our focus now would be on notes recommendation and maintenance planner. So we have a demo also showcasing this feature. Before that, let's do a quick jump into the key highlights of the feature. So using view recommended notes, you will get tailored recommendations for each of your individual systems in your landscape based on your SAP system landscape as well as SAP Notes metadata. Using this feature, you can identify or calculate the SAP nodes that are relevant for your ABAP systems, Java, SAP, HANA, and dual stack systems as well. There are different capabilities using which you can save the filters as a view, reuse them if you are responsible for a certain landscape and you want to identify the nodes that are relevant on a monthly basis and so on. There are profile-based access so that you can control the access to security nodes, for example, or the user inputs that are provided and so on. There are also, we have categorized the nodes into certain buckets so that it's easier for you to get to the nodes that are most relevant for you. Some of them being SAP security nodes, hot news, performance nodes, and legal change nodes. There is also user input that we've incorporated, which is called the processing status, using which you can keep track of the implementation status of a particular node for your particular system. And there are different download capabilities using which you can download the nodes that are relevant for your system in an Excel format, which is the first one, which you can use for further analysis. There is also XML downloads, which are integrated with Note Assistant and Note Analyzer tools, so that, okay, you have identified that a set of nodes are relevant for your system. Then you can use this downloaded XML to and upload the same in Note Assistant and Note Analyzer tool to proceed with the implementation of the notes on the system. And these are the few highlights which are the new features for the notes recommendation capability, where we have introduced AI-based ranking of SAP notes, where using certain criteria, which we will well into during the demo, we are ranking the nodes that are recommended for your system so that you get a smaller subset of the nodes out of the recommended nodes. There's also the note-oriented discovery, where we had already released the view recommended notes feature, where you can go from a system perspective where you have your systems and you get all the nodes that are recommended for your systems. So we have created another feature as well, which takes the approach from the nodes, where if you've identified a certain note is relevant for your a certain note is released by SAP, which you think might be relevant, you can find out which all systems in your landscape are affected by it. There's also a combined notes implementation XML, which is a file which is supported by both Note Assistant tool and Note Analyzer tool as well. So these are our key highlights from this year. And this is just a high level view of how SAP Notes and systems, like what comes into picture. So there's basically two aspects to it, right? There's the discovery of it and discovery of SAP Notes, and then there is an implementation part of it. So for identifying what all nodes are relevant for your system, you can use Maintenance Planner, where you use the view recommended SAP Notes tools, and you identify or you discover the nodes that are relevant for the systems in your landscape. And you can then download the XML containing this nodes information, which can be further fed into S Note and Note Analyzer tool. And you can proceed with batch implementation of the nodes. Now, so that's about the highlights. And now let's take a look at the demo for the discovery of SAP Notes. So here we are now again back on Maintenance Planner homepage. So before we get into view recommended notes, we have a lot of other features as well, like innovations for digital transformation. We have the Discover SAP Notes, and we have Plan and Execute as well, which is the bread and butter of Maintenance Planner, where you proceed with the planning. So we also have capabilities for visualization, like hybrid landscape visualization. So if you have a landscape which you're responsible for, you can use this particular tool to have a visual representation of it, using which you can keep track of it, you can keep track of the data of it, and so on. So here I opened hybrid landscape visualization, and you can see the list of all the landscapes that are created for your organization. So this gives the whole list of it, and you get additional details as well. You can also choose to upload a landscape, create a new landscape, and maintain it as well. So I have already created a landscape, which is the same as what Shruti had mentioned for my 011 landscape, which consists of my development system, test, and my development system, quality system, and my productive system. So we can see that there are 3 nodes in this landscape, which represent the 3 different systems. And using this feature, if you click on the menu option, you can see the details of the system, like the leading stack, data source, and so on. You also have an option to proceed with the planning capabilities if you want to plan a change or if you want to plan for SAP S/4HANA and so on. So you can start with the conversion as well. And on the right side, there is also properties panel where you can see the details of the system. There's also system information. If you select on the system information part, you will be able to see the stack information, all the product instances that are part of the system. You can see the software components as well. And there is also the transactions tab here. So all the transactions that you have created for this particular system, you can get a chronological list of this. So for my 011 system, these are all the transactions that were created for it. You can get the transaction ID, you get the name, the current status of it, who the user who has created it, and the time as well. So this gives you an overview of the landscape and the current status of it. And there are further aspects to it, like you can edit it, maintain it, compare it, and so on. So now we will be using this particular landscape as a reference. So we've already seen how we can plan for this particular landscape. Now let us see how we can keep the systems up to date using the notes that are recommended. So now we have under Discover SAP Notes, we have 2 tools, 2 applications, which is View Recommended Notes and Note Oriented Discovery. First, we will be going through View Recommended Notes, where we go for the approach via systems. So I'll open this, and here you can see the list of all the systems that are registered to my user. And here there's this filter part, and there is the table section as well. So idea here is that you select the systems for which you want to identify and click on calculate nodes. Here you can see there's an option called landscape, which is the same hybrid landscape visualization entity that we have already created, which is for 011 landscape. And I've selected this and I click on go, and I get my 3 systems that are in my landscape. So for the demo, I'll select 2 of the systems and click on calculate nodes. Now we are calculating all the SAP nodes that are relevant for the systems that I have selected, and we get a list here, which consists of, for each of my system, all the nodes that are relevant. So in one view, you can see that there is quite a bunch of nodes that are recommended for for my systems, and there are certain buckets as well. So this is a list, and there are details provided as well, like which SAP component has released the particular node, the node number, the node name, the version of the particular node, processing status, category, priority, as well as the released on date. And we also have the buckets here, which is the first one being like the most important one, which is SAP security nodes. So SAP security nodes are nodes that are dealing with vulnerabilities in the system and so on. And hot news as well are nodes of the highest priority. So SAP recommends that you implement them in your system as soon as possible because these are very critical. So we have created 2 easy filters for this so that you can get to them quickly. And also we have additional type of nodes as well. So apart from security nodes and hot news, we have performance nodes, which are nodes dealing with the performance of the systems. We have legal change nodes, which deals with the legal aspects, like the release activities or anything related to the legal change. And we also have top rank nodes. This is one of our latest capabilities where we have ranked nodes using artificial intelligence. There are certain criteria which we have used for ranking the nodes. So you already have nodes that are recommended, and out of that, we are giving you a subset which we have identified to be make more sense to you or more relevant to you. So some of the categories being text similarity, where if a note is released and the note has similar text to a note which you've already implemented, or system similarity is another aspect of it, where you have implemented the note which is recommended on a system which is similar to the one that you have calculated the notes for. There is ABAP dictionary objects if a note is making modifications on the same ABAP dictionary objects, or prerequisite relationships as well, where if the node that is released by SAP has a prerequisite node which you've already implemented in your system, then that would be ranked accordingly as well. So these are some of the criteria that we have for ranking the nodes. And you can also see the number of rank nodes are lower. And on the left side of each of the entries, you can see a color coded bar which shows you what rank the node is currently provided. There is also a legend here which gives you the indicators like, okay, it is very high or high, moderate, low, and very low. So these are the few criteria that are considered for this. And this gives you a smaller chunk of the nodes that are recommended, which you can consider. So with respect to ranking, we are not providing ranking for security nodes because there is no, it's all high priority and you should be taking it into consideration and implementing them. So SAP has recommended that you implement them no matter what. Additionally, we also have a user input. So because there are nodes, and if you identified that these certain nodes are relevant for your system, you can use this particular field. So here, if I've identified that this particular node is relevant for me, I can go and edit. I can choose to edit this particular node. So here we can set the status for it. So I can select it as one of these. I've selected transferring, and we can provide a ticket number or additional comments depending on the use case and save this. So this can be later on used to keep track of the status of implementation. And if you select on any of the node, you can also see the details regarding the node, as well as there is log section as well, which provides you with a timeline view of all the changes that have been done for this particular node and node version with respect to that current system. I'll close this. And the next part would be for the download options. I had already mentioned that there are multiple download options that we have. We have Excel download, Excel download, which you can download it in a Excel format and can be used for further analysis. We also have XML downloads using which you can use which can be used and for batch implementation of the notes. Yeah. So now this is the view which is with respect to systems. You have systems and you've calculated the notes for them. Now let's consider the other perspective of it, where we are going with a note-oriented approach for the application for keeping your systems up to date. So now I've opened SAP Security Notes in Sub for me. I've already selected a filter which is released on, and here, sorry, there are, so you can see there are 19 documents here, which are the list of all the notes that were released by SAP this month and which SAP expects you to implement them if they are relevant for your system. So there are 19 documents here. Now let's assume a case that out of these, you have identified that certain notes are relevant. For example, let it be this particular note. You have identified, okay, this seems to be important. You would like to know if this is relevant for your landscape. So that's where the note-oriented discovery application comes handy. So this is a similar view where you have filters on the top section and you have the result. So in the first level of filters, you can see system attributes or system filters. Additional like system role, you have leading product, product version, data source, and landscape as well. And if you see, there are also other filters which we've included, which is node number, node priority. So node number, which is a user input. You have the priority. So if you're interested in maybe hot news or correction with high priority, there's node category, which you can use for maybe performance nodes or program error. And also released between field if you care about a date range, and if you're an basis admin or so on, and if you care only about security nodes, then you have security nodes only and CVS core fields as well. So now let's see how we can use this to identify if certain nodes are relevant for our system. So I've selected my landscape, which is my 011 landscape picture I've already created. I've also input the node number. Let's also select one more node here, which is of CVS score 6.1. So I can provide that here as well. And let's click on go. So now we are trying to identify if for the systems in my landscape, if these nodes are relevant or not. So now with just this few clicks, we were able to see the list of we were able to see which nodes are relevant for our use case. So you can see here, both the nodes are relevant for all of my systems. So there are grouping capabilities, which helps you drill down to this easier. So you can see for all three of my systems are applicable, these two nodes affect all three of my systems. So this is when you've identified the node number. Similarly, we also have, for example, we want to identify SAP has security patch days. Let's assume that you're responsible for identifying if out of all the nodes that are released on the patch day, which all nodes are relevant. So there are these filters which you can make use of, where let's select this month because SAP security patch day for this month is already covered. Let's select security nodes only. And for CVS score, let's select 7 so that we get to the highest prior ones first. So now I have my landscape selected and I have current one selected as well. And let's click on go. So now here, what we are doing is we are able to get all of the nodes that are released this month, and we are able to calculate or identify which all nodes are relevant for my landscape that I have. So now you get a one-shot view with just few clicks based on your landscape and the nodes metadata, which all are relevant. So if you select the SAP security tab, you will be able to see the CVS score as well. And you get to see which all nodes. So there are 3 nodes that are affecting my systems, and we can plan accordingly. And if you select any of the node, you can see all the details regarding the system and the node as well, like the software component version, the support package. You can see the node details, the priority, the component, and it's because it's a security nodes, you can see the CVS's details as well. There is also the log section which you can make use of for processing status. So now you got all the nodes that are released this month. And now let's assume that this is an activity that you do every month because security patch day happens every month. So there is the option to save this particular filters as a view. So let me quickly save it. So it's my security node. So let me save this as monthly security nodes for my 011 landscape. I can set it as default and choose to apply it automatically. I can save this, and this gets created as a view. So every month after security patch day, you can log into this, log into Maintenance Planner, come to this tool and select this to see the list of all the security nodes that are affecting your systems or your system landscape. And you can choose to download the XMLs and proceed with the batch implementation for the same. Additionally, you can have multiple views if you are handling multiple landscapes or productive landscapes, test landscapes, and so on. You can have multiple views. I already have one created here, which is called Notes for SAP NetWeaver system. So we can switch between the views that you have to get the comprehensive result for the same. So you get a view of all the nodes that are relevant, and then proceed with the implementation using the other tools. So this basically covers the demo for notes recommendation, where you get the list. And this is more information where there are a few links provided here, and that covers the demo part. Thank you. I hand over back to Larissa.
All right, thank you very much. It was actually a very impressive demo. I'm excited about this, all the insight that you have shared. The question and answers section will be opened right now, and I can only invite our audience to bring up the questions or comments in the chat. And in the meanwhile, as I can't see questions in the chat so far, let me start with a question that we have arrived in advance. And with this, let me start with the first question is how can I use Maintenance Planner to identify products in my landscape that are nearing end of maintenance? Very important question.
Yeah, Larissa. So we do have a functionality called Product Analytics, which has been available in Maintenance Planner. So you can get a complete overview of your landscape using Product Analytics. You can easily identify which product versions are going out of maintenance in a selected time period. And then you can drill down to further details such as systems or landscape pictures, which are comprising of the product versions which are going out of maintenance. So this enables you to make right decision, strategic decision based on the information which is presented to you in product analytics. So if you have not tried it out, I would highly recommend to try it out.
All right. I think this is really very critical functionality for most of the customers. So please take advantage of this. The next question is, how does Maintenance Planner receive data after the transition from Solution Manager?
Thanks, Larissa. I'll take that question. Typically, customers who have been on Solution Manager, they have, some of them, large enterprise customers, do have migrated to FRUN, Focus Run. And some of the customers are also looking at transitioning out of Solution Manager into SAP Cloud ALM. In principle, the ALM transition guide talks about the individual capabilities of Solution Manager. How are they transitioning into SAP Cloud ALM? Maintenance Planner also figures out in one of those capabilities. However, it must be understood that Maintenance Planner also is a kind of a capability on the SAP support portal infrastructure. It deals with the technical system data that is getting replicated from the customer environments or private cloud environments into SAP support portal. So the ALM group has taken care that when customers transition out of Solution Manager, they are having the possibility to continue supplying their data via the SAP data suppliers or SLD data suppliers on these systems to support portal. And there are a couple of, or rather 3 channels which are open. So one is a direct upload from the technical system to the support backbone. There is also the case that when you set up Cloud ALM, a particular transaction is supposed to be triggered on the ABAP systems, SDF ALM setup, which basically also sets up this data replication to the support portal. And also early watch alert uploads are also being utilized for receiving this data into the maintenance planner. So in principle, the continuity in terms of landscape data being uploaded to SAP support portal is there. And the relevant documents are, of course, present in support portal and community. And what we would do is also attach that to the slides that we are going to share. I mean, that would be a perfect place to also continue from there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Especially if you have any additional assets that are relevant for this session and for the topic, please include them into the PDF that will be uploaded to the description of this video for the convenience of those who will be watching the replay. So there are a couple of more questions that we have, and one of them is, does maintenance planner include TCIs in the update plan to ensure functional equivalence is maintained?
Yep. So it's also the case that a maintenance planner, I mean, as you have just seen in the demo, we receive this information about the recommendation of notes, right? I mean, that is basically something that is getting calculated. That is only possible if we also understand what's installed in your systems in terms of notes as such. And in principle, while that is being used for recommending the notes, when Rose talked about the bread and butter of maintenance planner, that's the stack XML generation. It's also the case that we have the possibility to utilize this information to ensure that when you're planning for your transition from state A to state B in terms of product versions, we also could understand what's the status of the notes in terms of functional correctness that's present in your system. And when there is a transition to a higher version of a specific product version happening, then the functional equivalence is kept intact. So what we do is we understand, what kind of transport-based correction instructions are installed on the start state of the system, and using some of the calculation logic that is available with the, the metadata repository at SAP. We basically calculate whether there is the need of a TCI to be included during the update, so that functional equivalence stays intact. And this particular feature is available for single system change planning. For tracks, we are basically working on it, but primarily that's one particular thing which ensures that, the functional equivalence in terms of transport-based correction instructions is also kept intact.
All right. Can I run multiple planning simulations in Maintenance Planner and compare the results before finalizing a scenario?
Yep. One good part about Maintenance Planner is that it's a simulation tool also. So when you're trying to, determine the target, you're of course making decisions at the level of architecture, business processes, and Maintenance Planner is a tool which is trying to translate that decision into a technical artifact, which is the stack XML. So you as an end user could actually log into the tool, simulate the changes, try out certain combinations, and that can result in more than one plan that gets generated for the same project, same system. But ultimately, you will finalize that plan if you're a RISE customer with SAP, and maybe if you're on-premise customer also within your IT organization. Now, once you have those plans available, it would probably take time for you to actually, get into a project and implement it. Before you actually go into the implementation, you might also want to check that what I actually took as an artifact at point in time one and what I'm actually using for the update, are they same in terms of software component version, support packages, or it could also be that you're doing dev qual prod landscape setup, and then you have done some business functional testing and figured out that, there are some aspects which need to be further checked in terms of consistency. So we showcased this capability of compare systems right during Shruti's demo. Just next to it is also the comparison of transactions, so the plans that get generated. And that's the place where you get this possibility to create multiple plans at different points in time due to different reasons, but still get a comparative view of whether the component versions and support packages in that are consistent, right? So is it intended? If not, then you take some corrective actions. So that's where, yeah, you can do multiple simulations, and then you also have a possibility now in MP to actually compare these.
All right. So what are the common causes of failed planning scenarios in Maintenance Planner, and how can they be prevented?
Okay, maybe I can take this one. So often the inconsistency in the system data upload could be the cause of such errors or issues during planning. So to mitigate that, we need to ensure that the system has been replicated and it is up to date. So we do have auto correction capabilities in Maintenance Planner, wherein the system start date would be auto corrected based on the SAP product model. But there could be scenarios, there could be cases where there are some gaps and it needs to be corrected manually. And for that, we have the verification process, which is a guided procedure offered using which the user can create the corrective file and then apply that using the tools such as Software Update Manager. Yeah.
All right. So what upcoming features are planned for Maintenance Planner?
Yep, an interesting question, of course. We are also kind of piggybacking also in terms of the product strategy at SAP, and RISE being one of them, and Maintenance Planner also contributing to that, right? It becomes important that we also orient ourselves towards these RISE capabilities and automate a lot of processes that are being driven at SAP. So one of the key things that we do look forward to is how to combine the notes discovery feature that we just showcase, and also go into the direction of primarily providing an input for the implementation tool, the note assistant tool, note analyzer tool, etc. So basically providing an artifact which can be used for implementing these notes, and having a bridge established so that customers who are discovering this specific recommended notes can slice out some of these notes and then potentially create a service request, which then goes into the direction of implementation. So that's like one specific part around the operation stuff. We also have the part where private cloud systems typically have a standardized software stack. Of course, there are customizations present because individual customers would have their own business processes. And that's also the beauty of private cloud, yeah, right? That you have such kind of variations possible, but we still look at a common denominator of software. So one of the things that we also are trying to do is to basically get to a standardized software stack, which can be used for the 80% cases that you can generate the maintenance plan, the stack XML in an automated fashion that can help SAP and the customers also scale to bring customers on board RISE as such. This is one more area that we try to get into. And then some of the capabilities that you saw today, I mean, there are some initial steps that we have taken in terms of comparative analysis of the systems. So the data that is registered in the maintenance planner, we want to bring in more landscape transparency features there and try to provide capabilities where you can understand how ready your systems are for example, integration, how ready your systems are for planning software changes. So some kind of capabilities we are trying to basically build on top of that. But yeah, as the main theme vision going into the direction that we would want to bring on board more RISE use cases and then enable the transition journey of customers to RISE, much more seamless, make that much more seamless.
All right, thank you for that. Very comprehensive session, very comprehensive demo. Thanks to our experts today. Thanks Priti, Anupam, Rose, and Shruti. And I can't see more questions in the chat. So with this, I thank you also our audience for being with us, for listening, and probably there will be questions afterwards. And of course, we are open for any kind of interaction also after this session. With this, I would like to thank you everyone, and we'll close the webcast for today. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Thank you.